History lovers, and welcome to your favorite show on the planet. I didn't mince words. We're back again, and this is a beautiful week. And as always, we promise to be giving you the hottest gist, the trendiest stories that you might have missed during the weekend. And that's why we are here with Catch Up Monday. But before we catch up on anything, let me catch up with the ladies.
Hi. Hi.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So Lola
the
has been
weekended.
feeling. She started a Barbie doll this morning.
What's happening?
It's the wig. It's the wig.
I don't really know. I just feel all giggly. Like, okay, everything.
She's felt like this all morning.
Yeah.
I think it's the dress.
I'm channeling the
It's
princess.
a very
in
pretty
me.
dress. It's a very girly,
Demure. Demure. Unintentional. I'm mindful. I mindfully dressed.
Well, how was your weekend?
Oh, my weekend was nice. I went to a 100th year birthday of some grandfather of a friend. And Baba was so sprightly. At least he had fun at his own birthday.
100.
I ate cake, yeah. 100.
Were you bored in any way? You said...
I ate.
Okay.
I
Food is never boring.
ate. Yeah. Though some can be when there's too much salt in it.
That's interesting.
You're shading this party without even
No,
knowing.
shading the
understand.
caterer. The caterer.
Okay, Annie, how was your weekend?
My weekend was good. It was a working weekend again, but I like working, so it was great. It was great.
You know, I was going to say that maybe sometimes the caterers do it on purpose.
So that people
Well,
Catherine,
but do you know that if I
Catherine,
was a
why do you
cake...
think you're whispering when anybody can hear you? You always
to whisper to Lolo.
we can all hear you.
But do you know that if I was a caterer and your food comes back and half of it is not eating, I
a
would
bad
take it as
sign.
a bad sign,
Yeah.
like my food wasn't great. Because
But you know they
sometimes you
hoard
go to
their food as
parties,
well. Yeah.
you know,
Yes, they
you
do.
go to
They
some
do.
parties and you see everybody finishing all their
I want
plates.
to say, you think they're not happy you're not eating it.
Exactly.
They're happy because they
Yeah.
paid, someone paid for it. And then
But they
take it
paid
free.
for
It's free
it and
food.
you give them bad food and all your guests are not happy about the food they ate.
So unfortunately, not every Nigerian vendor cares about that, and that's one sad thing that we're not ready for that conversation. I
Yes.
remember one time, Olive and I had a bad experience with a vendor, and it was so crazy. This vendor, like, you could tell that she didn't care what happened. Like, call her out. That's your business. Whatever happens,
whatever
happens.
it is.
Because everybody believes my clients will find me. You go tip for dear. All right, Catherine, how was your weekend?
My weekend was mellow.
Oh, you didn't say weekending today.
Well, it was mellow. I'm down with malaria.
Oh, now you're. So did you
Sorry,
swap
baby.
spirits with Lolo? Because that kind of sounds like Lolo.
No, I don't say malaria. Do I?
Not the words.
I am in
but
my zen place. She needs to step into my zen.
No, but seriously, I was a bit under the weather and just trying to get myself together, and because sometimes the stress of this town,
Yeah.
Lagos. I don't know where you're watching us from, but if you have never been in Lagos, the stress of Lagos.
lucky you.
Yeah.
But you know you were battling the flu, so sometimes the flu
Yeah,
just
because
has
she's
to
been under the
run its
weather. She's
course.
been under the weather. Yeah.
Yeah.
But something is going round.
No,
think
I
it-
just need to send her a couple of millions. You see the healing money brings
I'm sick.
is just somebody should just send us $1 million each. The way we will be healed.
The way we'll do that dance, what do you call it? Yeah.
Mommy dad.
The way
No,
we'll
but
do that dance.
so 1 million maybe not. But imagine someone
you kidding?
sending. No, I'm saying imagine someone sending you $10 million. You know, there's a sickness, an overwhelming sickness that just comes with it.
Yes. For dollars, $10 million.
Yes.
Sickness comes with the $10 million.
My sister, you go first week.
Have you seen that kind of
Because
money that will
people-
make... someone said, was it in a song that he said that there's a kind of money that will make you want to slap police so that they will arrest you first and lock you up so you can start thinking of what to do with it. There's an overwhelming sickness that comes like you're just like...
But before we talk about the sickness that too much money brings, we'll take a short break. When we return, Jasiri will be ready to go.
All right, we are starting the week with exciting, good news. The 20 medical students who were kidnapped last Thursday in Benue State have been released.
Yep.
Yes. They've been released. There was a press conference yesterday where the handover was done. And honestly, the conversation that we're going to have about this, I'm looking forward to it because there's a lot that has gone into the kidnap, the rescue, and all the things in between. This was due to a coordinated effort by the security agencies and the Benue state government. Ladies, this was a very swift response, let's be honest.
Wonderful.
But very novel for Nigeria.
Marvelous.
What happened?
Other works of our agency.
I'm actually very impressed. I'm
Yeah.
happy. I'm very happy. But then again, I'm not satisfied with the vagueness of the information, right? So we hear that they were released, because due to tactical and professional negotiation. What is the tactic that was used? You said that a tactical squad was deployed. Let's not forget that we still have thousands of people who are still in captivity who might likely lose their lives. So what is this tactic that you deployed? I mean, I'm not saying this was very impressive and this gives hope, but like, can we know what measures that were used that for the first time you're not accidentally bombing people you want to rescue? For the first time you're not saying that families should not pay ransom. For the first time you're not saying that, well, there's nothing we can do. What is this tactic that you deployed so that we know?
But the thing is, this shouldn't have happened in the first place because it's happening too many times. It's easy. We're very happy and we're very thankful to God and the work that they put in to get these students out. But this is not the first time. This is not the 10th time that we are having kidnaps of this magnitude. And this is just one of the many times that we didn't have a casualty amongst them. Even though some of the kidnappers did, the abductors did lose their lives in the rescue attempt. But look at these students now. They will take them back home to their parents. Do you know the amount of trauma that they have carried? So it goes beyond rescuing them. How about making sure that their mental health is balanced? Because I cannot, if every one of them begin to tell the story of what they've gone through,
they will tell
you'd be like, why did this even have to happen in the first place? When are we going to get security right in the country?
Well, maybe this is the debut of getting security rights in the country.
Wow.
If Tolu was sitting on that chair, I'm sure she will say, okay, some info is classified. Yeah, so you don't need to know, the higgy-haggers and the, all of that went in. And I know Nigerians are curious to know, if you didn't pay 50 million that was demanded from the captors, what did you tell them? What did you negotiate with them?
How did it happen?
Yeah, how did that happen? We want, if you're giving somebody gist, give somebody gist. Although they say, thanks to you, all more details, and hoping that, there'll be details. And also, on the other side, maybe the Benue state government, or the governor, and the government wanted to set a precedence or do something different. It's not under our watch because if you look at it, different states have different resources to work with and different agendas that they're pushing. So for Benue, maybe the government there decided, no, we have to do everything within our power. There's so many pages if you want to look at this.
There are many pages, and I feel like it's difficult, or not even difficult, it's not providential, if that's the word, to talk about this kidnapping, this particular issue, without looking at the broader context of insecurity in Nigeria.
In the country.
Yes. You cannot, because it's happened too many times, and so precedent has been set. I think it was the SBN released a report that in 2021, I'm not talking about 2024, because right now that report has not yet been released, but in the first half of 2021, I think the same thing about in 2022, if I'm not mistaken. Guess how many people were abducted in the first half of the year? Almost 2,500 people in the first half of the year. Over 10 billion naira was paid in ransoms. In the first half, that's 6 months of the year.
Okay, so
our agencies, our agencies or government agencies, security agencies, are grossly understaffed, underpaid, overworked, badly trained. They don't have the right equipment because even though the defense budget was reportedly $2.4 billion, which is not a lot for defense, by the way, much of that money is not going to go to them. We know it's going to go into people's pockets. Then the rest is going to go to recurring costs. It's not going to go to things like buying new state-of-the-art equipment. So you have people on the streets who are not well equipped to fight crime,
Who can
to
even
fight
partner
insurgents.
with the kidnappers?
Exactly.
The thing
so you're
is-
fighting people whose weapons are way
even
more
way-
advanced than yours.
That's
whose
what-
training is way more intense than yours because
It's just annoying.
Yeah.
You see, everything we do in this country, we talk about it as if it's a eureka moment, like this is something that has never been done before. Every of these things, you can take it off the book or the pages of the book of other countries
Yeah.
when it comes to insecurity. And the bad thing is that here, we wait until things escalate. When things are to be nipped in the bud, when you see one terrorist group just showing their head, you're supposed to just crush it at that moment. But you leave it, it festers, it grows, they develop tentacles and they become really powerful. And that is now where we need heavy artillery that we do not have. So we cannot continue to be dancing to this music every time. This particular rescue, for the next couple of weeks, it will be song, it will be press conference, we'll talk
the
about
optics,
it
yeah.
until another one happens. And then we have casualties. Remember the last one that they did, the kidnapping of the monarch, I think in one of these southwest states. Of course, some of them lost their lives
Yep. Of
course.
in that one.
Yep.
So what happens now? These ones, thankfully, that these students are rescued on time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this is not something we should be celebrating.
Not at all.
We should be celebrating the fact that everyone in the country feels secure
Can be safe.
on our roads. Every time you want to travel now, are you not afraid to travel by
We
road?
cannot
you
be
guys
secure.
Blessings, I know you wanted to. Let me let you go, then I'll tell you guys
Okay, no,
this
I
quick
just
story.
wanted to say that it's unfortunate that it's like we're celebrating what should be the norm, because at the end of the day, we are made to pay for these things. We're hearing that, oh, digital security, this security is linked to terrorism and all that, and we're having to, create measures and all. And then Annie talked about the SBM report.
Yeah.
Apparently, as of now, 4,777
There you go.
what's it called? Kidnappings
Kidnappings
have been
happened.
recorded, and mostly in northern Nigeria.
Yep.
So, and again, I want to say that let's not forget that it's not all these kidnappings that are
Being
terrorism
reported.
related.
No.
Some of these things,
No.
some of these kidnappers or would I say bandits or the people who
They
are
have so
kidnapping
many
basically,
names now.
they were made because of the economic situation. So now it's like an avenue to make money. This is another side gig for
Yes,
a lot of people.
it's side hustle.
So for you to sit there and say, again, it's impressive that these ones were rescued, but this is like a drop in an ocean. So for you to say that no ransom was paid, it was a tactical. So that means that there's so many
possible.
people that do not need to
to
still
die.
be in captivity or
Yes.
even lose their lives
lives.
because it's just hungry people kidnapping hungry people.
So about 15 years ago, I
Yeah.
want to say 15, maybe 15 odd years, maybe 16, I'm not sure. I was a teenager. I think maybe I was 16 or 17. A friend of mine, family friend, very influential family. Their mum, my aunt, she was kidnapped in front of her house. Now she was coming home.
This is 16 years ago or
16
17.
years ago, and I'm going to land this plane. She was coming home, and the kidnappers trailed her. Once she got to the front of her gate, they parked like adjacent to her car, so they couldn't back up. They came, knocked the driver out, pulled her out of her car. And when I say in front of her gate, I don't mean on the street. She was right at the gate. The gate man was trying to open the gate. Pulled her out of the car and took her away. Millions were paid for her release. She was released eventually after a few days. Now, this was 16 years ago. We are in 2024. And as at now, at least from what we know, this happened in the north, by the way. At least 1,500 schools in the north have been closed because of kidnappings, banditry, violence. Up till now. And this is someone who was very influential. She was supposed to have all the security, she was supposed to have all the privileges, and it happened. There are people who don't have access to this money. They cannot pay the ransom. It is weird that I know two people whose parents have been kidnapped for money, and the money had to be paid.
Paid?
Yes. So
It's a business
we're not even
now.
talking about the people in the rural areas who when they go, it's like, okay, oh, into your hands we commit ourselves, because there's nobody to help us.
You know, like talking about insecurity or security, basically. Let's move on because so that we can have more to banter about because it's the same thing. Speaking of security, the Director General of the National Intelligence Agency, NIA, Ahmed Rufai Abubakar, has tendered his resignation to the President, our President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. The reason for his resignation is not yet known.
Baba don't
Can it
tire.
be known? How can it be
Baba
known?
never tire.
How
You
can
not
it
see
be
the man
known?
neck?
How can it be known? Do you know, how many of you have seen, even recognize Ahmed Rufai
Abubakar.
Abubakar's face? He's such a, and I don't have anything about private people. I'm a private
No, he
private
does
person
security,
myself.
so it doesn't need to be
Yes, but
your
you know,
face.
this is an agency that needs an identification or an identity. And he has a history. I mean, we're all allowed to resign. But he
Yes.
was at the UN before, if you remember. It was in 2018.
Yes.
IOOK was unceremoniously discharged. This guy was put in by Buhari under some very interesting circumstances. He's got dual citizenship, alleged that he's half Chadian. Now, when you think about that in the context of things like Boko Haram, when you think about Mieti Allah, when you think about even the stuff that's happening like with the Shiites and all of that, it makes you wonder, because most of these people, because our borders are so porous, they run through, they're Nigerian, well, they're from Niger, they're from Chad, they're from Sudan, all of those kind of things. So it makes you wonder, how is your
There's so
DG
many conspiracy theories.
Yeah, how is
that
your
we
DG
can-
not even fully from the
can-
country that he's supposed to be protecting?
There's so many conspiracy theories that we can begin to deduce and begin to talk about. At least this guy served under Buhari. And I know what the state of security was at that time.
It was abysmal.
Of course, that's
It was
what I'm
abysmal.
saying. Because I would think that longevity in a position is based on your track record.
Yeah.
Like, oh, maybe this person has done very exceptional.
No,
And he has
What is the
spilled
track
into the
record?
next government. Maybe they have just speculating because I wasn't privy to the meeting. Maybe they don't already say, bros, it don't reach you, not where this is just, they carry go from.
Yeah, but what was he doing there in the first place?
So let's not forget again that there are so many people in positions that are, I'm not saying that it's not like he doesn't work and he wants to work and they're not aligning him, but there are so many people that have been stifled. If you ask many Nigerians, they didn't even know that this position or this person
Thank you
existed.
very
Let's
much.
be honest.
Thank
He
you
gave the
very
reasons
much.
being personal, family reasons, and then the friendship continues and yada, yada, yada. So it might be a broad spectrum of things.
Yeah,
that
on the
we
flip
got-
side,
That
maybe
we
he
have
has-
always
our
left.
friends-
The unfortunate thing about us Nigerians,
We don't have the information.
We are always left
In the
to
dark.
speculate.
Yes.
And as long as we're speculating, that means we'll have porous conspiracy theories.
You can't
Anybody can cook up any reason that they seem
Yes.
to think is likely.
And you can't even chart a course forward, because if you don't have the information are the building blocks for any kind of strategy, any kind of plan. If you don't have information, how do you plan?
Do you think it's intentional that the government is keeping information from the people?
Yes.
This government is keeping.
Should I be honest?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't think that this Freedom of Information Act thing, sometimes I don't think that I want to know.
They use it to roast Abado.
Because
I'm
it's
telling
either
you.
they're giving you half-baked truth, or in the name of freedom of information, they need to know, or they're spewing lies and you cannot fight it.
do it. I don't
even
what
think
are you,
so.
Why
Do
do
you
you want to
think-
tell me that?
I
Exactly.
actually think that the information ministry probably do not have, maybe they do not know
their job.
what they need to do. Because these things that we're talking about is not something we need to even discuss. Because the import or the reason why this ministry exists is to disseminate information. But half of the time, everything is done under the table. They are done without protocol. They are done the way they should not be done. If somebody can wake up and take a decision before they even remember that, oh, we should have put up a press release before we did this,
It's already been
then the
done.
person is already like, what's my job?
Well, it looks
There's no synergy anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It looks
because
like we have some reactions, but I think we're going to come back. But we have some reactions that we can take at the moment. Please put them up. Yeah. On a Saturday evening, we will never know why.
Of course.
We'll never know. The man must have seen. The man must
The man was
They
Shege.
gave him posts surrounded by Yoruba people. How can you work in such a condition? arrest Boko Haram and UGM, but leave Agbero for Lagos to operate.
But this is another thing I don't want to go into, this
common
religious
resignation.
tribalism
I
thing.
think this man still has a little conscience in him. It says uncommon resignation.
Nigerians are not used to it. Let's be honest.
The goals playing the game is deeper than we
See from the
sun.
surface.
Absolutely.
Conspiracy theory.
Because really, for someone to
Everybody.
resign on a Saturday evening,
See, blessings. I had this, just this morning, as I was coming to work, weird thought I can't corroborate. I don't have any evidence to corroborate it, but I just have a feeling. You know, like in these disaster movies where you have like this big monster coming, like with Game of Thrones, we can say the name, when they kept saying, winter is coming, winter is coming. It feels like this guy has seen something
Winter
and he's
coming.
like, yo, guys, deuces, I'm out. I can't deal with this.
See what I'm
I
saying?
honestly feel like
Do
that.
you see what
I
I'm saying?
honestly feel like that.
Conspiracy theory.
I honestly feel like
Everybody
that.
will begin to think of all sorts of things that are scary.
Yeah.
Really. Because the precariousness of this nation, anybody that tells me that they are not afraid quietly, they lie. Everybody is
Big
thinking
lie.
that something is up somewhere,
Yeah.
but there's nobody telling us even if it is going to happen.
Yeah.
And do you know what I fear? The way we are running our country now, you know the outside world are looking. Sometimes
But they're
I will just
always
fear
looking.
that
We're like,
maybe
they're running
one
the
day
country.
we'll just wake up and we have been recolonized.
Man,
Because somebody can just drive into our country and
have
say,
been.
yo,
I don't
get
understand.
out and go
Another
and sit
conspiracy.
somewhere.
What are you talking
We were
about?
never not
What's your national anthem sounding
uncolonized.
like?
Yeah.
My sister, can you sing
Are
it
you
now?
kidding?
Let's go on a short break, guys. When we return, it will be time for us to get into more conversations here. It is Catch-Up Monday, so don't go anywhere. Just Siri will be right back. I can sing the national.
Be enjoying
Welcome
life.
back, guys. We're streaming live on our social media platforms. Hello, what are you saying?
she got carried away.
We're at News Central TV. Before they say we laugh too much, please use the hashtag JustSiri to be part of the conversation so we know you're watching. Blessings. I think I always say watching. Blessings. Voila.
Yeah.
Yes, continue.
Okay. So last week we had two special guests in the studio, and we were talking health, we're talking nutrition. Still last week, NAFDAC released an alarming report on the harmful and adulterated products in the market, advising Nigerians to be careful what they buy. And quite frankly, I couldn't agree more. And so we'll jump right into this because Nigerians have a habit of not caring. And I really hope that you at least pay attention to this and know what the health risks are. So let's take a look. And today we are having a very important conversation and one that has to do with your health, especially what you ingest. Now, it's sad already that we're not prioritized by our leaders. But what's more heartbreaking is to see Nigerians struggling to make ends meet, only to be deceived by adulterated products. Despite economic times are pushing traders to tamper with food and medicines. Now, it's terrifying, and we're talking organ failure and even standing at the risk of death. We are playing with fire.
Honestly, very scary, but in that regard, we are privileged to have not one, but two exceptional guests joining us today for this conversation. First, we have Dr. Patrick Ijewere, a pioneer in preventative medicine, wellness, and nutrition. As the founder and the CEO of Nutrition Hospital and Wellness Center, he's dedicated to reversing chronic diseases through natural and nutritional approaches. Alongside Dr. Patrick, we also have Olaoye Oyetolani, a registered dietitian with a passion for empowering individuals to take control of their health. With over 11 years experience in clinical practice, media nutrition advocacy, and public health nutrition. Together, these two experts will share their insights on the alarming rise of substandard food products in Nigeria and its health risks associated with consuming them. You are very much welcome to JustSiri.
Welcome. Thank you for joining us.
All right, we're just going to go straight into the question because there's a lot of unpacking to be done. NAFDAC has raised concerns about one particular food because that's a lot of Nigerians consume bread. So, and now we're hearing that there is a substandard bread flooding the market. So when you heard this particular news, what was your immediate reaction? Because you know when something starts, it's like a trend, and you're like, okay, what is substandard bread? What was your thoughts, Dr. Patrick?
It was actually very different from a lot of the commentary in the media. I am one who has advocated the departure from bread. If you understand how bread is cultivated, such as in the West, in the US and Canada, from wheat, you will not consume bread. The level of chemicals used in the cultivation, from the farming to the preservation. Our former Minister of Agriculture shared in an article that was published in one of the newspapers that the wheat we import here has been in storage anywhere from 5 to 10 years.
Wow.
Wow.
Which means it has a lot of preservatives added to it at the time of storage. Then it's shipped weeks to months to get to us. So it's already a contaminated product that gets into the market that has in it ingredients that are very destructive to the human body, starting with the liver. So bread by itself is a no-no when it comes to clients who we attempt to reverse their disease. That goes off the list.
Wow.
Now we talk about substandard bread. It began with the substandard wheat that was used to make the bread. Now they add all kinds of chemicals to it, whether it's the bromide that has been, since Akinyuli's time has been talked about in the media, to other things to give it the yeast, whether it's high quality or poor quality yeast. We're in for a serious double, triple, quadruple whammy when it comes to bread.
Wow.
Okay, so I'm very curious because now we're talking about substandard bread, and one wouldn't have expected that something as simple as bread that the common man should be able to afford and just, eat on the go is given this much issues. Now, Oyetolani, you are a dietitian, right? And I think my major concern is how do we differentiate which is substandard and which is not? You don't expect the common man to be involved in the production process of bread before they know which to consume and which not to consume. So we know that it's important to get the basics right. So what exactly differentiates between substandard bread or products and the one that is actually good, safe for consumption?
All right, let me get something clear to us. We consume a whole lot of products that are from flour. Bread is not the only one. Understand that your spaghetti is from flour.
Yes.
Your noodles is from flour.
Yeah.
Your semovita is from flour.
Wow.
Yeah, so you can't run away from all these foods. I'll still come there before I answer your question. You can't run away from all these foods. But you will take it upon yourself to monitor where you get your foods from, how you get them, and how you consume the food, in sense of what I eat in the food with. Now, for bread, how would you look at a loaf of bread and say, okay, this one is bromate-free and this one isn't bromate-free? I can't lie to you, it is not easy to do. Yes, it is not easy to do. But probably we can follow some of those NAFDAC rules, the one they are putting into being able to recognize fake drinks and fake stuff. We can put that into, number one, where did you get the bread from? Did they put it on it that it is bromate-free? At least that is a step forward. Is it just a local bakery? Because when we talk about bromate, it is not just about liver disease alone, or maybe the liver getting infected, mutagenic, you're talking about cancerous problems with the kidneys. It's not just about that. It even affects fertility. In males, the gonads. I'm talking about the long-term effect of bromate. Yes. On reacting with thyroid hormone and everything like that. It causes infertility. So the results are actually enormous. The negative impacts are actually enormous. So the only thing you can do is to monitor where you get your foods from. If you are that blessed, really, if you can even get some 4 different samples. Maybe you consume bread a lot. Although, like he said, I would also advocate now that you know that those flour products, when you talk about processed wheat, meaning that the good part of the wheat, the body, the inside has been removed, although they did some fortification. They put maybe some iodine. You see flour. When you see flour, you see the I, vitamin A, fortification, blah, 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 you know. But it can't be like the original wheat. And I know if I tell you to go buy wheat bread, you won't want to even have that because it is not that sweet like the white one. So if you can, you can say, okay, maybe these are the places where I purchase bread from. Okay, I'm going to take 4 samples and I'll tell some people, maybe some people that do evaluation, help me evaluate the level of bromate in it.
Wow.
You can go that far.
Oh, wow.
You can go that far. Let me evaluate, okay, I know this one has the least level of, because I can't lie to you. Most of them used, I heard from someone, I'm not sure, I've not really researched in that regard, that it helps the smoothness of bread. Right. I'm not a food technologist, so I don't know the real reason, but I know the smoothness of bread, of course, proven to, and it helps to increase the mass and everything. And then, of course, you know the present situation in the country. So you can go that far.
But we all know that consuming contaminated, low-quality, chemically enhanced food that probably has harmful additives in the food to preserve it, to make it taste better, therefore make us spend more money on it. We know that this will not only pose a long-term risk to consumers' health, but I believe it can be a precursor to a public health crisis. But I think that people don't understand the real dangers of consuming low-quality food. And I'd like us to, if we can expand on that. So you mentioned the liver just now when you were talking about bread. Many people don't think bread and think liver. They think bread and think, hey, the worst is going to happen, I'm going to have a big gut.
Exactly.
But that's about it. But there's actual real dangers. So could you please expand or expatiate on some of the actual things that happen in the body when you consume food that is contaminated, food that has chemical additives in it?
Consultant told me, and I know she can't peddle something wrong. She said our sister saw when they were doing it en masse and they had a detergent.
You say detergent, you mean for washing up detergent?
Washing detergent. And they said that is how it is. Have you forgotten about these plantain chips that Lagos State created awareness about? That they use polythene nylon. They put it into the oil because it helps the plantain chips to remain strong.
Crispy.
So these matter about food safety, about adulteration. It is not a small issue.
Not at all.
So I think another body should be harmed because NAFDAC is more about toxins. Okay, the food is not
The standard.
yeah, is standard in the sense that it won't cause it won't hurt you. It is not expired. It was produced in an hygienic environment, blah blah blah. But nobody actually checks. Okay, is this food? Yes, we know that seemingly it doesn't look poisonous. Is it made in the right environment? Is it, as it gets into the local places, the local markets?
I would want us to talk about the awareness for the individuals now, but before we do that, we'll go on a short break. We're still talking about the dangers of substandard, products, and then we'll be back to continue the conversation. All right, thanks for staying with us. We're still talking about substandard, and I got it this time around, and adulterated food. And we still have our guest with us, Dr. Patrick Ijere, and of course, Olaoye Oyetolani, who are helping us understand would I say problems or issues associated with it. And this came about because of a concern that was raised about substandard bread. And Oyetolani, you were saying something before we went on break, and I just want to ask, now we've asked what NAFDAC can do, and we've solidified the fact that they need another body that can be more streamlined to monitor these things.
Why I was saying that we have another body that is supposed to be in the Standards Organization of Nigeria.
Yeah, but the question is the functional, exactly the functionality. But another challenge that I have is if these people are doing their bit, individuals most times, especially in Nigeria, do not really care for such, right? If say, for example, looking at the economic situation, bread is what they can afford, and then somebody is coming to tell them that something is substandard, adulterated, the ordinary man may not understand. It's like, fine, we can't afford this, and now the one way we can afford, you're telling us not to. So some people would see the problems as it's long term. In fact, I've heard someone say things like, they said over time, something affects your liver. Hopefully I'll be dead before then. People say that, like before that time comes, I probably would have died. So many people do not want to accept that these things are real. the dangers there are real and we need to take precautionary measures. So how can we educate people about these dangers more so that they can understand, you know, we have this "it's not my portion" syndrome in Nigeria. So if it's not happening to you, even if it's happening to someone closer to you, they'll feel like, oh, it's just village people. It's not going to happen to me. So how do we educate people more?
This is one of it. This is one major way. Everybody knows media is, I mean, if media picks up something, the whole world gets to hear it. So you are doing a good one, educating people on this platform. And another one is, of course, in the hospital, because people won't come to the hospital until, you know, they have one sickness or the other.
Yeah.
The hospital, when we get to meet people, we talk to them. And then we have friends, we have families, we have to, it is not until they tell us, oh, this auntie, this uncle, this our brother, this our cousin, he has this disease, before we let people know, you know, we should be careful about this and that. I think it's just about informing people. A lot of us, maybe we're in the bus, we just grab, they come with drinks and everything. That is where they sell most of the fake, can I use the word fakest if there's anything like that? If I can use that word, that is where they sell most of all those things. Yes. We have to correct them. Buy foodstuffs from right stores, licensed stores. Look at what you're buying. Look at the product name. Look at everything. Spelling errors, not well sealed. These are signs to let you know these are fake things. So I think we have to keep talking. Talk to family, talk to neighbors.
I think that's tip that Oyitola gave is so important to me. Check for breaking of seal, because sometimes Nigerians are so quick to just consume things. You know that, Dr. Jere, I know that you are so big on wellness and you know everything about nutrition. I know that everybody knows how hard it is in Nigeria to be able to, you know, make ends meet, basically. And we're now talking about quantity. Nigerians will always choose quantity over quality any day. And let's be honest, a family of 6 that wants to eat will probably not be thinking about where they, as long as they bought it in open market, which is where a lot of foodstuffs are sourced from. Not everybody can afford to go into specialized or dedicated stores to buy. I had purchased rice before, we're eating it up to half, and I would not lie to you, the half of the bag was green. It's probably sipped water and mold.
Yeah,
I was so afraid because we had consumed the top layer of the. So when people are making this decision, quality over quantity, what do you think our average lay people, how can you educate their mind to choose quality?
Wow, another tough question.
Yeah.
Multifaceted. Amolawi has mentioned the hospitals, churches. One particular segment I find very responsive to health information are children. When we give health talks at school, I recall several I've given regarding the amount of sugar in soft drinks. The next week, my phone is ringing in the office. The parents of the children are calling me. You talked to my children at their school last week, and they said ABC. Or I went to Timmy to the grocery store. Timmy took the bottle of Coke, took the bottle of soft drink, and began reading the label. Said, Daddy, no, it has 25 grams. That is equal to, they told us it's 4-1. So this is now 8 or 9 cubes of sugar. Children, let's get them educated. They will go home and put their feet on their parent that this is what I was taught. We must read the label. We must look at this. Don't buy it from here. Children mop up this information and they become agents of change in the household.
Okay, so speaking of education, you know, you can't do one thing without doing the other. And what I mean by that is, if people are supposed to choose healthier, they need to know what is healthier. They need to have alternatives. So if you tell me, for instance, you can't eat bread because this is what bread is going to do in your body, and I understand and I agree with you, I can't apply that knowledge if I don't have a substitute. That is maybe not exactly like bread or like the processed foods, but something that's a reasonable alternative. So can we go through maybe a short list of alternatives to some of these staples? Because like Lolo said, people are just trying to eat.
Yes.
And they'll eat whatever they can. In fact, when this statement came out, when NAFTAC released the statement, you should have seen the reactions from people.
Yeah.
90% of them were not saying, "Oh my goodness, substandard bread, possibly being poisoned." They said, what's your business? Now, man, go die, something, preaching something. You know, so people weren't really, they didn't care because they don't have alternatives. So what would be, for instance, starting with bread, I know it's not about bread, but what would be a healthy alternative to bread?
Okay, I'll give you two answers.
Yes.
First one, how long has bread been on our table?
Eons?
Less
Decades?
than 100 years. I'd say about 60 years.
Okay.
What were you consuming before bread? As a little child, when I go to the village, we had yam for breakfast.
Cocoyam.
We had cocoyam for breakfast, sweet potato for breakfast. We had even sometimes plantain for breakfast.
Yes.
Who says bread must be for breakfast?
Right.
So culturally, we've shifted from what was a healthy breakfast option to these so-called Western-defined breakfast foods.
Convenient
Dr.
breakfast
P,
food, yeah.
I just wanted you to expand a little because I do not understand that we had our own food classes and everywhere you go, they make you feel like every food that we consume in Africa is not healthy. Yam, they'll say this is too much. This is the starch content, the carbohydrate. But these were foods that we've always eaten. So how would that be? Is that not better than eating bread that is adulterated or already contaminated?
I'll take the question. Let me address part two of the first question. Options to bread. We have local grains. There's millet. There's acha. There's corn. We have a range of local grain options that can be prepared similar to bread. May not be as fluffy as the bread, but can be flattened as bread, can be brought into small little
molds like bread.
Cornbread.
Yes.
I've eaten cornbread before.
And in many of our people, especially up north, who are less affluent, that's what they are consuming.
eat, yeah.
They're not fighting about the cost of bread because they're still farming the millet and the acha in their front and their backyard.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, your other question.
Just remind us of the
Yes, I
question.
wanted to know that is it not better to consume our local staples, like you said, yam, cocoyam, but everywhere you turn on the internet, they make you feel like African food is not healthy.
Like we're
It's
the ones
heavy.
consuming
We're the ones
toxic.
consuming.
Yeah.
The entire gamut. It's been, allow me to say this, a ploy to make us dependent on the other. From the vilification of red palm oil, which is today being heralded as one of the best sources of vitamin A and vitamin E, complete vitamin E. The vilification of, you've mentioned yam. Yam is a beautifully complex carbohydrate that if you eat it for breakfast, chances are you won't need lunch or something till about 4 p.m. They even vilify our coconut oil, that it has, cholesterol in it. It doesn't have cholesterol. It does not. Whereas it has beautiful MCTs, medium chain triglycerides, that your brain benefits from. There's been a deliberate ploy to mislead us in terms of our nutrition. And sad to say, many of us in the professions, doctors, nutritionists, have been part of this media slandering of African food. I have doctors who will tell you, Samo is better than pounded yam.
Yes.
Hogwash.
Yeah.
Look at it scientifically. Do the analysis. Which is the better, more complex carbohydrate? Folks will tell you, use these vegetable oils.
Yes.
All sorts of.
Pack all them together, side by side, put red palm oil. They cannot stand up to the antioxidant, nutrient-packed house of red palm oil. Over the years, we have vilified our native natural products. Part of it was also a class thing. You know, with the whites, we saw them as being higher.
Yeah.
So we infer that what they eat definitely
much
is
better.
much better.
Much better.
And we do not even see that some of these things are affecting. The US, for example, still has an obesity crisis.
Massive.
That's a current,
Increasing.
yeah. That has been an issue for them for years.
And when you read books where US agencies, organizations go and study healthy populations, look at 2004 National Geographic survey on healthy people. Look at a book written by Price, Weston Price, on nutrition and physical degeneration. Look at books written by, where did they go to find the healthiest people?
Asia and Africa.
Asia,
Yes.
Africa, South America.
Yeah.
Communities
Exactly.
where people have not been touched by Western
Culture.
food.
Yes.
You know, before
Yes.
we go, honestly, I just wanted to because she's a dietitian, please, can you just give us a quick, like just put one A to B to C things that you think people should eat more of or less of what?
Number one, as much as possible, let's go natural. Less processed foods, because every processed food you see on the shelf, it is preserved with either lots of sugar, lots of fats, or lots of salt. And too much of everything, you have too much of salt, hypertension, even the kidneys get affected. Too much of sugars, well, obesity and the likes of it. Too much of fats, cholesteremia and the likes of it. So go natural. We have a lot of foods. We have rice. I went to Abeokuta recently, and when I saw the grains, I was confused. I wanted the malam to explain to me, I know this is millet, which one is this one? Which one is this one? We have a lot of fantastic foods. Let us do more of natural foods. Wheat is not bad. Yes, there have been a whole lot of conversations about wheat. Wheat has gluten. If you don't react to wheat, you ate it once, you didn't have any tummy ache, your doctor did not pronounce you gluten intolerant, then you can take wheat. We have a lot of food. Let's go. We have cocoyam, we have sweet potatoes, we have Irish potatoes, we have plantain, we have wheat, there's even couscous too. So let us enjoy. We have local rice. Yes, they say it is expensive. We have brown rice. And then I tell people, even our own normal rice, you can just fortify it. Make sure that when you eat, you don't eat just plain rice. If you don't add rice and beans, and this rice and beans concept is a fantastic one. I don't know how our mothers got to know that the amino acids, yes, it completes each other. What is missing in the cereal is completed in the legume, in the beans. So even if it is carrot, and there was a publication I did in the hospital recently talking about carrot. We don't know what that vegetable carries, a prebiotic. So even if that is the only thing you can chop into your rice to fortify it with whatever soup or whatever stew you're taking it with. So reduce the processed foods, go natural, and there's a wide, varied.
All right. Thank you so much, our guest. I mean, we would have loved to elongate this conversation, but of course, this is the much that we can take. But thank you so much, Dr. Patrick Ijewere, and thank you, of course, to Oyetola Olaoye Fashion. It's been a very rich conversation, and just to remind people out there, even though the substandard food right now might look like a bargain, don't forget that there are medical bills to pay when you fall sick, and sometimes you're even at the risk of death. So please make sure that you're mindful of what you consume. Thank you so much once again. It's still Jasiri. We go on a very short break, and when we come back, we continue. Stay with us.
All right, well, that was a very rich conversation. Ladies, won't you agree?
Totally. Honestly, we need to be very careful what we ingest because our body is like a house. If you don't take care of it, it stops taking care of you.
And I think that budget doesn't matter when it comes to, I know it's hard to say, but in the long run, think of the medical expenses as well, and even the probability of death. We don't want that, do we?
No, we don't. But this is where we say goodbye on today's episode, guys. We thank you so much for joining us on Jasiri on a catch-up Monday. We hope you have enjoyed today's show. Tomorrow is another day for another episode. But until then, on behalf of the ladies, just allow me finish. On behalf of the ladies, blessings. Goodbye.